He never fails. He won't ever fail. Tonight, our speaker is Pastor Josh Pennington. He and his wife Angie are 1999 graduates of Rhema Bible Training College. Together, they founded More Life Church in Newark, Ohio. Josh is a visionary, a spiritual leader with a heart for people and an unwavering desire to inspire those around him to receive all that God has for them. He's been recognized both locally and nationally for organizations for things that he has done in outreach to his community. He has an unyielding dedication to create positive change in the community that he lives in and the community of his church. He's committed to telling everyone that he can about the blessings and the benefits of serving Jesus Christ. Let's give a big round Rhema welcome to one of your own that's set where you're sitting, Pastor Josh Pennington.
The scene was Mexico City. The year's 1968. The event was the Summer Olympics Marathon. Long after the winning national anthem had been sung, after all the medals had been awarded, and even after most of the audience in the stands had left the stadium, the marathon runner from Tanzania entered that stadium. At the 19th kilometer, he experienced cramping due to high altitude. The cramping caused him to swerve unexpectedly, and another runner hit him. He took a hard fall, dislocated his knee, and his shoulder was severely wounded by the fall. But he got up and kept on running. Even though he was in pain and limping as he ran, he entered the stadium a full hour after the victors had entered, and he was the official last place finisher of that race. Reporters and cameras that were remaining ran to the scene as he limped across the finish line, and they asked him the question, "Why did you keep on running after such an injury?" And John Stephen Akwari replied, "I am a runner from Tanzania. I did not come 5,000 miles to start a race. I came 5,000 miles to finish a race." And in this auditorium tonight, you have 262 faith-filled men and women who came all the way to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, not to begin their training, but to finish it, and we celebrate them tonight. I would like to first begin by thanking all of the individuals who made preparations behind the scenes to make this celebration possible. Earlier this afternoon, I spent about 20 or 30 minutes just walking around in the auditorium, getting a feel for the room, listening to some music and thinking. And in came a small army of people who began to clean and dust and arrange and move things around. And I think it's very appropriate to acknowledge all of the people that we do not see who served us before we got here so that we could have a great big time together. Pastor and Mrs. Hagan, thank you for honoring me and humbling me with this incredible opportunity. I have been unable to forget my first year's orientation address that Pastor Hagan preached in 1997. A powerful address that gave us as students practical rules to live by clearly establishing a theme for that year. The title of his message was No Reserve, No Return, and No Regrets. And while I am not inspired nor anointed to the level to preach that subject tonight, I must make mention of it because my life has been painted with the brushstrokes of that prophetic word for over 25 years. And more importantly than preaching a powerful address, the thing that matters most to me is that you, Pastor Hagan, didn't just preach this message, but you've modeled it and continued to model it decade after decade, being a man of no reserve, no return, and no regret, and we honor you tonight. Mrs. Hagan, God has used you to fill a spiritual void in my life since my mother has passed away and relocated to heaven. Whenever I'm in a room with you and you're leading us in prayer or leading us in the Word, God does things in my life that He doesn't do anywhere else on this blue marbled planet or any other environment that I'm ever in, and I'm eternally grateful to you and to your leadership. Dean Gregorich, you're a consistent and constant gatekeeper and protector of the mandate that rests on this world-changing ministry and institution, and we give thanks for you tonight. To the unparalleled faculty and staff, thank you for fulfilling the biblical command of teaching the next generation of gospel preachers with excellence. You all have trained another crop of human beings who are going to shake the world and turn it upside down. Pastor Craig, Pastor Denise, and to your families, I need to borrow the words of someone much wiser than myself. Your house is a glass menagerie with every life detail on display. You have been selfless, and when others chose selfishness, you chose sacrifice. When you wanted to be stingy, you chose to be generous. You've given up dances, vacations, trips, sporting events, social outings to be a team player for an organization who does not always play by the rules. You have seen your parents and grandparents hurt, your family crushed. You have seen the church at its worst and people at their best. I imagine deep down you've wanted to scream, "My initials are not PK." As you've blazed new trails, those initials have turned into credentials. Pastor's kid isn't who you are. It was simply a training ground for where you were going. You have been the first to walk in and the last to leave, because even in its dysfunction, you have witnessed too many miracles to walk away. And tonight we honor each of you as well. Thank you. Yeah. Parents, spouses, and honored guests, and most importantly, last but certainly not least, the resilient and courageous class of 2023. Congratulations on your incredible achievement. It is truly an honor to stand before you tonight at my alma mater as we celebrate the culmination of your hard work, dedication, and unwavering faith. For those of you who may think I've wasted ample time in addressing those that I have, I need you to understand this. Honor is not an empty gesture. It will change the environment of a room. And so if you would, I would like to take as a text tonight Acts chapter 16 and read verses 6 through 10. Now when they had gone through Phrygia and the region of Galatia, they were forbidden by the Holy Spirit to preach the word in Asia. After they had come to Mysia, they tried to go into Bithynia, but the Spirit did not permit them. So passing by Mysia, they came down to Troas, and a vision appeared to Paul in the night. A man of Macedonia stood and pleaded with him, saying, "Come over to Macedonia and help us." Now after he had seen the vision, immediately we sought to go to Macedonia, concluding that the Lord had called us to preach the gospel to them. If you would allow me for a few moments, I'm taking as a subject for each of you that are graduating tonight, they are waiting on you. Imagine with me for a few moments that I'm a time traveler, having come from the future to help guide you. Because as someone who's walked a similar path that you're about to embark on, I want to share with you 5 simple lessons that I've come to learn along the way. And in the future awaits you. In that future there will be challenges and obstacles, but there will also be victories and breakthroughs. And I want to partner with you for just a few moments in this assignment. And here's my prayer: that at some point during this address, someone, I don't need everyone, I just need someone to get stirred up to the point where you begin to vibrate internally with the anticipation and the excitement, almost to the point where you feel like you might want to leave before we're finished, because the reality of they are waiting on you hits you. The top 5 things that people are waiting for you in the future, as I see them. Number 1, authenticity. The real you is way better than the fake you. God's creative nature doesn't allow for unnecessary redundancies. In other words, He made your life to count and to matter, and you have no one else to be measured against except the man Christ Jesus and the mandate that's been planted on the inside of your heart and soul. The future, I must tell you, is not begging for more karaoke performances. God is not asking you to do your best impersonation of the individual that you admire or that you look up to. The future needs the authentic version of you, the one that God designed you to be, because the ones that are waiting on you, they're craving the real you. That's who they're waiting for. I made the mistake as I was preparing to ask Pastor Denise for all of the commencement speakers that came before me. I will not tell you their names, but as I read through the list, a song from my past, from Sesame Street, came into my mind. And the lyrics go like this: one of these things just doesn't belong here. One of these things just isn't the same. One of these things just doesn't belong. And you'll be able to figure out which one by the end of this song. Insecurity began to creep up in my soul. But then something greater than insecurity overtook me, and it's called authenticity. And I said to myself, I said, if they wanted someone else to show up, they should have asked someone else. They asked me, and that's the only one that can show up. The Josh that God made is the only one who has permission to give the 49th commencement at this graduation. I'm the only one that can do that. Why am I saying this to you? Because you must be mindful of comparison. Because in the future you will have to deal with the trap of comparison, and if you do not deal with comparison, comparison will deal with you. Comparison only leads to one of two things: a sense of inferiority or a sense of superiority. And neither will serve you long term. I will call to your mind the story of David and Goliath. And before going out, Saul offers him his best. And David decides Saul's armor won't fit. I'm here to tell you tonight, Saul's armor might not fit. David's sling might not work. Joseph's coat, it might be too flashy. Elijah's mantle might be too heavy. But Jesus' yoke is easy and his burden is light. You need to understand in this auditorium tonight, you won't be everyone's cup of tea, but you will be someone's double shot of espresso. Hey! On the easy days, keep showing up. On the hard days, keep showing up. Just keep showing up with your authentic self and who you are. Now, don't confuse being authentic with being comfortable. Which brings me to my second point. The future is waiting on servant leaders. Leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about serving those in our charge. We were in the middle of a building project, and I was in my closet at home praying. I was up against an assignment that I had never faced before. This Rhema graduate, man of faith and power, full of nerves, confusion, and did not know what to do. I had in front of me something that was very uncomfortable. And I was pleading with the Lord, Lord, can you get me out of it? I don't want to do it. And my main argument was, I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. And I don't mean I heard a voice, but I heard these words: comfort is not a prerequisite for obedience. Servant leadership will demand discomfort. In the future, you will face things that make you uncomfortable if you are going to properly serve those that are waiting on you. Resist the temptation to worship comfort. Comfort is overrated. My mom was a single mom who didn't have enough. And she made me go to church. And she was very resourceful. Even when she didn't have a way to church, she figured out how to get us to church. I'm a product of a bus ministry. A man named Glenn drove us to church. He drove us to church as a servant leader. Last week, I did Glenn's funeral. There's no way that Glenn could have known 20 years after he picked me up, he was going out to get the pastor of the church that he would attend. He was simply serving, and I was waiting on him to come and get me. They are waiting on you. They are waiting on you. I was in a time of reflection and felt that we were to start a transportation ministry in our church, and a thought came to me: if you don't go get them, who will? And I started to answer the question, with the phrase no one. And in the middle of saying no one, my mind interrupted me and corrected me and said, if you don't get them, I started to say no one will. And then I thought, no, that's not right. Drugs will get them. Abuse will get them. Lostness will get them. Confusion will get them. They are waiting on you. Stop trying to be a leader and start serving the broken heart of humanity and watch what God does. The third thing that the people in the future need from you is curiosity. Curiosity fuels discovery. It ignites passion. It drives innovation. It encourages growth. And as you step into the field of your choice and the various things that are options for you, embrace the unknown. Question the status quo. Seek out new perspectives. For it is through curiosity that you'll uncover the solutions that the broken heart of humanity is wrestling with. Please stay curious. Don't stay loyal to an old version of yourself. Be curious. I was a little boy playing in the yard, and it was a hot summer day, and I came inside and I wanted sweet tea. And I asked my mama for some sweet tea, and she said no, I couldn't have any. But I saw on the counter a glass. And I thought, well, I'm gonna have me some sweet tea whether she gives me permission or not. I was curious. I grabbed that glass and began to chug it, only to find out it was not sweet tea, it was bacon grease. I need you to know the people of the future need your curiosity. Sometimes it will reward you, other times it will punish you. Be curious. Fourth, empathy. The future needs your empathy. The world's a diverse and beautiful tapestry of cultures and perspectives. And as you step into the global arena, remember that empathy is the key to unlocking meaningful connections, fostering collaboration. By understanding that the experiences and emotions of others, you'll be a bridge over the divide that will allow you to inspire change and forge paths to a more Christ-centered world. A couple of weeks ago, I was with a group of friends, and we were at this place that had a golf simulator. I love golf, and we were taking turns hitting in the golf simulator. One of my fellow Rhema graduates, in fact, took his turn in the golf simulator, and he was hitting the ball poorly, and I was loving it. A secret pastime of mine is to crow over the misfortunes of others that I'm friends with. Sorry. He hit this ball, and as soon as he hit the ball, he hit the deck, and he fell to the ground like he'd been shot. I started laughing. Empathy. Well, that isn't it. He stood up and he said, no, guys, I'm seriously hurt. And he pulled his hands away. The ball had hit a piece of cross iron, ricocheted back and hit him right in between the eyes. When he moved his hands away, he was a fountain of blood out of his forehead. I need help, he said. I went running to where the group of people were that could help us, and I said, hey, I need some help. No one responded. I said, hey, I need some help. Finally, I was getting a little frustrated, and there was an urgent need. I said, hey, we need some help. We need some medical attention. And an EMT came running. When we go back to the text of the man that Paul sees in the vision, and he says, come over to Macedonia and help us. In my imagination, that man was not saying, come over and help us. He wasn't saying, hey, if you got a minute, can you come help us? He was saying, at all costs, Do whatever you can do. Come and help us. Graduating class of 2023, they are waiting on you. They are waiting on you, and in the future, you will need to answer the panicked cry with empathy. You will have to learn to love people that you know are going to leave you. Everyone that starts with you will not finish with you. You'll have to learn how to be spiritual foster parents. Empathy for me is contained in this phrase: learn to be in their shoes, not in their face. Lastly is the value of patience. Value process over events. The future is looking for people who will be patient. I recall your memory to when they were marching around the walls of Jericho. Why 7 times? Why not 1? Wasn't God the same on the first lap as he was on the 7th? Couldn't he have just saved them some cardio? I don't know all of the reasons why. I'm not wise enough to know, but I know this. I've shouted during events, but the walls come down when I practice the process, when I'm patient, because every promise has a process. And it's through faith and patience that we inherit the promises. In 2007, we set out as a church to acquire our very first permanent location. We had went to an auction and were the highest bidders at the auction, but it was the sale of a local school, and so the school district had to approve the contract. So we went to the school board meeting, and our agenda item came up, and we were spoken for and represented, and they adjourned to break and discuss it. During the break, a distinguished man came to me. His name is Bill. And Bill said, "Josh, can I tell you a story?" I said, "Sure. I want to relay that story to you." He said, "What I'm about to tell you is not rumor, conjecture, or hearsay. I was in the room when the conversation happened. I can tell you for a fact, in 1997, a very successful businessman in our community offered to buy this school and relocate the school by building them a brand new building. And the school district said no." He said, "I think that's an interesting bit of history that you ought to know while they are deliberating." And as soon as Bill finished that story, I was able to make the connection. You see, in 1997, my wife and I were married and made the decision that we were coming to Rhema Bible Training College to give our life to Him a decade earlier. And what I knew was God, when we made the decision and said yes to His plan for our life, He set in motion things in our future that only He could do. And He held that place in reserve for us because it was in His plan for us to be there. We're there. We're on our 3rd building project, whatever. Here's what I came to tell you, that when you said yes to this moment, God started moving things for you. And even though you don't see it yet, He's moving behind the scenes, and it will be there at the right place at the right time, because here's what I know: God never fails. He never fails. As I look out at this sea of bright and eager faces, I see a future filled with limitless potential. You have the power to shape the world, to create a legacy and positive change, to leave an indelible mark on the lives of the people that you serve. They are waiting on you. They're waiting on you to lead. They're waiting on you to innovate. They're waiting on you to inspire. They're waiting on you to make a difference. So as you walk across this stage and into the next chapter of your life, remember this: the world is waiting with bated breath lean into authenticity, be a servant leader, cultivate curiosity, demonstrate empathy, practice patience, and seize every opportunity that lies ahead of you. Because in front of me, I see a group of people that are going to answer the call. And as you do, the Spirit of God is going to empower you to preach the gospel, heal the sick, cleanse the leper, raise the dead, remove burdens, destroy yokes, recover sight to the blind, heal the brokenhearted, bind up their wounds, proclaim liberty to the captives, and turn this world upside down. Class of 2023, will you please stand on your feet with me for just a moment if you're able? This is what I want to ask you to do before we're finished. Two things. I want us to take 60 seconds, and I want you to grab the hand of the soon-to-be graduate next to you. And because I know this is a house of prayer and we have a culture of believing God, I want to ask you to do something because I know you are prayers. For the next 60 seconds, I want you to pray for your neighbor. But here's what I want you to pray for them. I want you to pray something very specific. I want you to pray that whatever you've been believing God to do in your life, that they do it in your neighbor's life first. You need direction. You need resources. You need clarity. You need. Get out of the way, because what I need you to understand is it is impossible to be jealous and envious over someone that you're believing God with. So for the next 60 seconds, I want you, class of 2023, to lift up your voice and ask God to do for your fellow graduate first. Go. Lift up your voice. I know you can do it. Go. Yes. Come on. Come on. Come on. Right now, shout amen. Let go of their hand, and I want you to do one last thing before I get out of your way. Look as far over your left shoulder as you possibly can. All the way over. Now look over your right shoulder as far as you can. Let that be the last time you ever look back, except to remember the faithfulness of God. They're waiting on you.